Hi, welcome to the Evolving Outlier. Today I'm just excited because not only do I have an amazing actress, but I have my friend on today. And so just some background on this podcast so you kind of have a footprint. I was talking to a friend one day about how I never fit in. I'm a female in a predominantly male-dominated field.
We've had this conversation many times.
And growing up, I went to a rich high school, but I had money for the wrong reasons. So I couldn't really talk about why I could go to this school.
Can we talk about that today, or are we still not talking about it?
We can talk about it. But I just, I've never quite fit in. I was always the tomboy with the pretty girls and all the things. And I said, and yet, girl. Thank you. And yet I feel like I've always been evolving.
Yeah.
And I literally just said out of my mouth, I feel like I'm an evolving outlier. And then I was like, ooh, I wonder how many other people feel that way, that they're not in, that them people over there, they got it together. They're successful. I see them on TV. I see them on Instagram. I see them in all the spaces. And you perceive that their narrative is one where they've always had it easy and they've always been the in group and you guys are out, but I'm in, and I'm making light of it. But I started the podcast because I happen to know a lot of people in my circle, successful people in my circle who didn't always feel in. And on some occasions, even now in their career, don't always feel in.
For sure.
And so I want to thank you, first of all, for joining me on the pod, because that's first and foremost, because I know you busy and you always booked. And then secondarily, thank you for being willing to share your story, because I think there's people out there who, if they understood a little bit of the backside of the narrative of some people they look up to and they admire and they see the success, can realize that they too, even though they feel like they're an outlier, can evolve into a space of being the totality of who they were created to be. So I won't do the bio thing and all that. But tell me a little bit about those times or the background or how you even got to this space and how you felt entering into the space. You could start in that journey wherever you want to. You could start back being born in Germany, you know what I mean? And where do you want to start the story? I'm curious.
Well, I guess really I want to start by saying I really like this title. It's great. I love the idea of an evolving outlier. And to affirm that, yes, you are an evolving outlier. But you know what? When I was listening to you talk about it, I was like, the thing is I think when you go, oh, I wonder if anybody else feels like this. Yeah. And I feel like it's almost the fact that you are an outlier, that being an outlier is what allows you to stay evolving. Because when you're in, like you said, right? If you're in whatever that is, the box of being in the in crowd or an in group or inside, right? You really, if you think about that, that means there are walls to that. Right. If I'm inside of something, so there is a limit. And now I'm sort of trapped by...
Oh, I feel my next sermon coming
right,
up.
Right.
Okay, go ahead.
I'd be liking to inspire a sermon.
Thank you, I appreciate that.
I just feel like, there's something really lovely about if there's an in-group, but you're outside of it. Instead of even thinking, it's so funny to me because I have been on the outside for so long that I really had to learn how to be comfortable with being outside and not having that feeling of looking, where I'm on the outside looking in a covetous or envious way, but more so just understanding that there's a cool thing about being in there, but there's also limitations to it. Because when you're trapped by the sort of ideas of all those people in the room, right, what they think you are or what they've all decided it requires to be in that space, well, now these are the rules we have to live by, play by, exist in, and maybe that's not really true to me. So when I'm on outside, if I'm an outlier, well, that's just freedom and space.
Right.
I'm not in no box.
Right.
I have all the freedom and space to evolve, to grow.
And today, when people feel like they control the box, they feel like they can cancel you at any given moment if they don't like how you perform in the box, right? That's good. That's really, really good.
And in this career, I mean, as an actor, I feel like so much, and that, talk about evolving, I mean, the process of how the career evolves, but how your relationship to yourself evolves, how your relationship to other performers and the work itself, the industry, the audience, their perceptions, all of it. It's all constantly changing. The most important one being how you feel about yourself and how you define yourself, what really grounds you, what your faith and your relationships, how they keep you centered in who you are, and that kind of has to be the only, I think, that's my in crowd,
Right. How do you get to that space though? Because I think oftentimes, at least I know for myself, there's cycles.
Oh, yes.
There's ups and there's downs and there's times
Honey,
where
and usually more down than up. But yeah, the ups be great though. They make up for the downs. But ooh.
They do. But that space of because we have short-term memory. We could literally be perceived by our own selves that, I'm doing okay. And then something shifts or something happens or something doesn't go the way that we anticipated that it should go or prayed that it would go or fantasized that it would go, and then all of a sudden it's as if we were never successful at anything, not even kickball on the kickball in second grade. I'm just saying, right? And the whole thing begins to fall
I actually don't think I was very good at kickball. I was never very coordinated.
Okay, not volleyball. What is it? What's the one with the pole?
Oh, tetherball.
Tetherball.
Yeah, girl, I hit myself in the head with that tetherball.
Okay,
I wasn't good at that either. Man.
Actor. That's what
I chose my chosen field chose me.
Got it. But that whole feeling of the cycle and the roller coaster of it all, we sometimes think successful people don't go through that. Can you talk a little bit about the times where, like you for sure, like, I'm not only not in, I think I'm leaving the industry. Have you had that moment?
Honey, transparency, honesty, and this is, again, it's really interesting doing these kind of talks with your like real friend, because she's asking like she don't know, but
I don't.
How often do I go through that? I would say weekly. I mean, not even kidding, like weekly. I think me and at least some of the other, I thank God for girlfriends, period, for big sisters, for my partner, for parents, for family, for the people who can like sort of pull you off that ledge. Because I'm teetering on the ledge most of the time. But I really think that a lot of my girlfriends who are in the industry, we often talk about the feeling of knowing that you should know that you've already done this thing, and I'll look at all my credits, I guess. Credits they don't feel like anything because people want to know what you're doing right now. Right now. And I think that's the thing, is that it is difficult to say how to stand on what you've accomplished or achieved, because the industry and even the audience is a little fickle.
Yes.
And they love when you're doing something they love. And they'll even hold on to that for you sometimes. Again, thank you to the fans, because sometimes they'll hold on to your achievements for you when you've forgotten them.
Right.
But it is very difficult to remember that on a day-to-day. Because what we often say to each other is like on Monday, you'll call your friends in the industry and be like, it's a Monday. It's a new day. Anything can change. This is the week. We gonna book something this week. And then it's Wednesday. And you're like, I haven't even had a solid audition, something really viable. And I think people think at every phase in the industry, we always covet whatever the next phase is. I remember being an extra, I remember being an extra and wishing I could be on camera. I remember being on camera and being like, I wish I had more lines. I remember having more lines and being like, ooh, this is a lot of lines. This is a lot of pressure. I hope I do them well. And then you start, now there's a new level of, once there's more light on you, now you're very concerned about holding on to the opportunities and never being in a place where you mess up and lose them. Then you realize at some point, I'm going to mess up. I can't be afraid of messing up, because then I won't do anything, because I'll be, held up by the fear of failure. And that is like the beginning of the end in this industry. And I believe really in any. I believe in any. It's so important that fear will paralyze you. We're just called to step out of that fear a little bit more immediately and consistently and publicly.
Yes.
But I think in every field, and really just in your own personal growth, the ability to step past fear is so important. But do I have the fear? I kid you not. weekly I go through the cycle of like, I don't even know if I can do this anymore. But daily, momentarily, I struggle with, am I good enough? Will I be? I'm also, depending on the audience, I'm sometimes known for being funny. So, man, the pressure of, am I going to be funny today? Will I be funny?
Do I feel like being funny
do I feel like being funny?
Because ain't nothing funny right now.
And then when the material comes back to do the challenge of remembering that I was trained as a dramatic actress, then, can I still do that? Do I still have that skill set? Can I still tap into those things? When I tap into them, am I going to be able to pull back out and, get back into my real life and hang out with my friends and, be comfortable? All of these things happen, I'm not kidding you, daily. Daily.
That sounds tiring.
It is.
So then what? Because I can't, this sounds exhausting. I can't imagine being in that space where daily I have that ebb and that flow of what you just described, and not, how do you stay in the game? What then makes you stay in the game?
I think it's you have to really love it, and you have to know why you love it. Okay. I really think that, and look, I don't know, because honestly, I've seen people who are ambitious in a way that I'm not, that I both admire, like genuinely admire, because I go, man, ambition is a hard thing to hold on to, because it's not fed by wins, you know what I mean? Because sometimes ambition you have to hold on to throughout a great deal of failure.
Yes. And rejection.
Yes, and I think people feel like ambitious people are always winning, and they're not. I think ambitious people are able to endure failures and transform them in their minds to where they feel like wins, I learn a lot from ambitious people, but I'm also a little scared by them. I'm also a little intimidated by them. Why? Because they call a mirror to myself. I'm deeply afraid often that I am not ambitious enough, that I won't be able to stay in the game because I can't compete at that same level. But for me, I had to decide that the reason I'm doing it isn't actually to knock everybody else out. That is a very strong driving force that works for a lot of people. The idea of like, it's a competition and I'm knocking folks out, or the idea of like, I gotta be the best.
Because it's the nature also of the job, because it's an audition.
It's an audition.
Yeah.
It's an audition. But
even sometimes with friends.
Yes.
In the same.
With a lot of my friends, yes. We often go up for the same things. But what I learned years ago is that for me, and that's what I mean, for me, that doesn't work. Okay. For me, the idea of knocking everybody else out don't work. The idea of being the best doesn't work, because for me, that taught me I will set myself up to fail. Because the bottom line is I'm not going to get every audition. In fact, I'm not going to get most of them. So if the way I view myself is based on winning out the competition and or getting the part, well, then 98% of the time I'm going to feel terrible about myself.
Yes.
So the new frame was, I'm not here to beat out everybody else. I'm here to beat out my last audition. I'm here to beat out my fear. I'm here to beat out my insecurities in my head about whatever I think physically isn't going right with me and the reasons why I shouldn't have this part. I'm here to beat out the performance that I gave that was filmed already. Like, I want this audition to feel like whatever the best work I've already done that's on camera, I want to top that. I just had to start setting new goals and ideas for myself, because the win can't be in what other people kind of describe as like the success. Right. I had to find ways to find success in the journey, because most of the job is the journey. It's not the show, it's not the booking, it's not the camera, it's not the press. It is day by day staying in, like you said, just staying in. I've also had to learn so much about how do I stay busy when I'm not busy?
Yes.
You get luck. There are fortunate times when you are, like you said, booked and busy. There's some wonderful times when you're just kind of working from project to project, or your project takes a very long time, and so you're able to really get deep into your role and have fun and get to know your cast and get settled, or have shows that go seasons. That's, hallelujah, blessings. Hallelujah for seasons. For shows that don't end every year, and you got to be back on the stroll looking for a new job. We call it the host role. No, none of us have ever actually been on the host role, okay? But we call it the host role because this industry be out here trying to pimp you. Y'all, I'm being transparent. That's what me and my friends call it. Anyway, so you don't want to be back out on the stroll.
A little bit of insight.
So I really feel like it's so important to also figure out how to stay busy in the meantime.
Yeah.
And I really try to, again, it's phases in life. I remember about my 20s, late 20s, I started to come up with the idea of building a curriculum for myself. I said, in college, in middle school, high school, college, someone does that for you, right?
Yes.
They give you a schedule. And then you get adult. And suddenly life, throws all the stuff at you, but they're not telling you where to be at homeroom, at lunchtime, at after school. There's none of that. So then I said, I need to develop a curriculum for myself. And I have become, and you know this, I have become a person who is governed by schedules.
Yes.
In a way that I love though, because I get the freedom to move it around, but I schedule my life to it's crazy. You know it.
I do.
I schedule things. I schedule sleep. I schedule rest. I schedule spa time. I schedule time with friends. But I also schedule the curriculum of my study. I schedule time to better myself, whether that's about studying by watching actual films and television, making sure that I know what's going on in the industry around me, reading trades, reading actual material and books that I used to read when I was in school. That's like, I learned it then, but it didn't just stop. There's always going to be new lessons there.
Or there's a new revelation now that I've been out in the world.
Now that I've been in the world and I get what that book was talking about.
Right.
I see what they're trying to impart upon me. Or learning totally new things. Learning a new language. Learning how to cook a new dish. Right. I am a huge fan of just continuing to challenge all the other parts of me, because the more I develop as a person, as a woman, as a friend, as a spiritual disciple, the more that I develop, all those things go into my performance.
Yes.
Every one of them. But I'm not going to get to do that performance every day. I do get to live my life
every day
and be this person every day.
You talked a minute ago about success and the definition of success. And quite frankly, we have to come up with our own definition of success. To be relegated to other people's definition, other people's standards, other people's measurements of success will leave you playing Twister, because everybody's got a different measuring stick, right? How have you determined what success looks like if the grind is perpetual? Is there ever a there?
Again, I'm going to be very honest. I'm going to say, what was that, probably about 2 weeks ago. I'm probably still coming out of it, quite honestly. About 2 weeks ago, I really was struggling with a bout of depression. I go in and out. I always try to say, and again, everybody is going to have this journey differently, so I never like to comment on what depression means for other people. I've struggled with depression most of my life. And somewhere along the way with therapy, counseling, and wonderful, wonderful friends and partners, I have been able to manage that without medication. But very recently, I was just sort of in a really bad bout, and that I had also been going through it, I think, just a little more frequent. Usually when I cycle, that's usually about every 6 months.
Yeah.
Also, a terrible, not so coincidental thing is that I usually cycle around the time that I come off of a job or to start a new job.
Right.
Because that is the fear cycle. It's the fear that I won't work again, and then the fear that I will fail. Right? Just cycling back and forth. Usually I can bounce quick. Right? Usually. Because I've been doing this for a long time, I know first of all, I know who to call. I know who to call. And I know the things that I'm going to say to myself. I know the tape that's going to play in my head, and I know how to stop it, rewind, and go back and say, new tape, Got it. But sometimes my will, my friend's love, even the voice of God that I can't get to and I can't hear clear enough doesn't pierce through.
Yeah.
Right? And just about 2 weeks ago, I was really struggling, and I had actually talked to my boyfriend about, what do we think? Should I maybe consider, looking at a more medical treatment, And I was on the edge of that. I really was. But again, that wouldn't have been a loss. It wouldn't have been like I failed. I wouldn't have thought like I failed myself. Right. I'm asking for medication. I just thought I've been able to manage this, and I didn't know why right now it was getting worse. And then I thought, it's funny, but with every win, it actually gets a little worse, because it's like anything. You get higher up and the fall feels further,
yes, yes.
But so again, I just thought, what if, like any time else when I have to rearrange how I define how I'm looking at what I'm looking at, what if I'm not looking at how far I'm going to fall, and what if I focus on the fact that what were those wins along the way that got me here to where I'm in a place where I'm so scared, because I have to have that I'm so scared. Because like you said, what's funny is, in the moment, what it feels like is you have nothing. That's what it feels like. You have nothing, right? But clearly, I must, because I'm afraid of losing something. So how do we start shifting that look, right? But what's funny is, as I was having this all ties to you saying, what's the success look like? Because as I was talking to him, and he was saying, that's why I said this, really, I have to be honest about it, because it was such a very specific thing, is that we were kind of going back and forth, and he was sort of challenging me to the point where, when somebody love you and they push you, you kind of get mad at them, and I was starting to get upset. And I was annoyed because he was basically telling me that I'm successful. And of course that's his job, to love on me and tell me I'm amazing, right? But he's telling me how successful I am. And I'm a little bit like, no, I'm doing I'm denying all the things you're trying to affirm in me, which is crazy. But he was challenging me to say, well, what do you think success is if it ain't you? If you aren't success, what is success?
Right.
And all I could do was say all the things that I didn't, and he was like, but what is success? And he just kind of yelled at me a little bit and was like, no, really, like, I'm tired. No, I'm asking you a question. What do you think is successful? And I just kind of shattered, because I realized two things.
Right.
Two things. And that moment, I couldn't verbalize, I couldn't articulate what I thought success was, which then made me realize I have been so full of the ideas of what other people decided success was, and that's the issue, that I continually keep butting up against, what do I think success is? Right? Like, even though I've had to keep telling myself, redefine it for myself, as soon as I get in a moment where that darkness kind of takes over, I forget. And I don't know what it is. And I was so angry and sad because I thought, I don't have an answer. And then the next thing I felt was, I don't know what success feels like, but I feel what you said, which is, I just feel like I'm on the outside of it. I feel like everybody else got it. And I don't. Who is everybody else? I don't know.
There's this group called the infamous they. I'm not talking about they and them as part of the community pronouns.
Right, not the pronouns.
I'm talking about the previous famous they.
Because they've been around a lot longer.
What they say, they ain't got an address. They don't have an IG account. They have nothing.
They don't have an address, but they got a nice house.
According to our
According to us.
And a nice car.
They got a nice car.
And great rich friends.
Oh, yeah, of course.
And a circle.
Yeah.
What's funny is, and I want to make this point, because it's an important one that you just brought up. When you're in those dark spaces, to make sure that your mind is open to remedy. Pray, absolutely, for those who are Christians. Take your meds if they have been prescribed, right? And go see a therapist to talk through it, because sometimes, like when we're stuck in traffic on the 405 freeway, and it's like the exit is over there, but I'm in the far left lane, and I cannot figure out how to maneuver to get off of this doggone cycle that's going on in my head. And sometimes literally just talking to somebody begins to move things out of the way, so that there's a clearing for you to get off that rotunda that we're just running through about the narrative, about them, about they, when in all actuality, if we really were to take a look and ask them, they would be like, oh, I wonder what success is like. I want, you know what I mean? They have a similar narrative, maybe at a different level.
For sure.
But they still have Because even the ambitious people have a success that's just outside of their reach, which is why they're still pushing.
Which is why I said that scares me, right? I was like, that scares me because the idea of it never being enough scares me, because I have difficulty just right here. You know, I'm trying to appreciate what's right in front of me and hold on and remind. And so I think for me, ambition always scared me a little bit. But the older I get, the more confident I get, the stronger I get, and just the more rooted in knowing what I need to do when I lose my way. It gives me the hope to be my version of ambitious, which is, I think, more rooted in hope. It's like I'm not necessarily as ambitious as I would like to be, but I'm very hopeful. Yeah. And I believe, though, that the point is, though, with hope is we can hope, but then we got to work. Right? Absolutely. So I try to give myself more and more every day permission to keep hoping for something greater and knowing that I can achieve it because I'm always willing to do the work. Right. And that I can stand on that. And that leads me to, funny enough, so maybe a week later, so that I told you the wild time, the dark time came upon me. And as I was coming, and then I come out of it, and I went to my, sometimes working out is that's a good help for me. And I'm not in perfect shape or I don't know, even great shape some days. Some days it's a struggle going up the stairs. And I get to the top and go, I really thought I was working out every day. Why is it still so hard? But working out is good for me because, all that movement, endorphins, the strength. It's like, and then you do a thing, like you hit a punching bag or you do a move you weren't able to do last week and you feel strong. Right. It's a physical, tangible, manifestation of that feeling inside of you that says, I can't do a thing, and then you do, and you go, all right, and you start feeling on top of a thing. So I came out from a workout in the garage, and I was talking to that same lovely man, and he looked at me, and I just said, you asked me what success is, and he said, yeah, and I said, I have an answer today. It's showing up, because I showed up, because I woke up that morning. And I did not want to. Fill in the blank. I just didn't want to. But I got out there, and it was step one. Yes. And I said, I showed up for myself today. And in general, I started thinking that for me, that might be my new definition of success. That's good. That I want to keep showing up for myself. I want to show up for the challenges that are put before me. I want to show up for my friends. I want to show up for what I believe the people that matter and the God that matters thinks I have inside of me, their vision of me. Not because it's about becoming what other people want, but the idea that the people who love you and know you, you have to sometimes see yourself like they do. Mm-hmm. That's a part of showing up too, just all of it. I really felt like that might be the simplest version for me right now. That works. Of what is success.
You mentioned the word hope, which happens to be
it's the
one of my favorite words.
Yes, of course. Here at the Hope's House,
name of my church,
the House of Hope.
Shameless plug. You're welcome any day. But I define hope as the anticipation that things will get better, and I have a part to play in it. Mm-hmm. Right.
That's good.
Yeah, I have an anticipation.
Yeah,
that it's gonna get better. But I have
a part to play in
that. Mm-hmm. I can't just sit back.
It ain't gonna happen on its own.
I tell single women, you can sit at home and hope to get a man, but if you're just sitting at home,
unless he's Jehovah's Witness,
Jehovah's Witness, or UPS or Amazon man, right? You have to be about something, and so the anticipation that things will get better, but I have a part to play in it. And then you said another something that struck me, which is showing up for myself. Mm-hmm. We as women, we show up for our kids. We show up for our spouses and partners. We show up for our jobs. We show up for our churches. We show up for our friends and our sisters and our parents and all the things. And oftentimes we're at the bottom of the list of showing up for ourselves, when in all actuality, if we don't show up for ourselves,
then you can't really show up for nobody else.
And we all know that. We do know it.
And we won't do it.
But it gets lost in the pool, you know what I mean, of everybody around us. And the truth of the matter is, oftentimes, particularly for those who have children as well, in our audience, we're teaching our kids not to care for themselves, to not have self-care. And it could come across to many people as being selfish. But self-care has never been selfish. Self-care really is about taking care of myself so I can be productive and helpful to those in my sphere of influence and whom I love. So I like that you said, just really showing up for myself and removing the narrative of the selfishness of that sentence.
Yeah.
Now, I will admit, we live in a generation, right, that is highly selfish and me-oriented, i.e. the selfie, and it's not an event unless I take a selfie and let the whole world know what I ate and what I wore and what my lashes were, and all the things. And while all of that is good, that's not really self-care. That's not self-care at all, right? Because truthfully, we took 100 pictures, filtered it to get the one picture to show how great of a time we had. And how about this? So often we're missing life.
Oh my goodness.
Because we're so busy about how we present that we're not present. Oh, that was good.
Did you have another sermon?
So worried about how we present that we're not present in the moment.
Again, you notice about me, I can't stand, I don't even like taking pictures, so that's like probably part of it, but I can't stand the take pictures of everything culture. I just, it's exactly why. But I just feel like, I can't think of the number of times that, and I love my girlfriends who love to take a picture. I love y'all. But where the road to get the good picture, oh my God, because it's such a scene, right? I mean, you got to get the right angle.
Yep.
And then it's, somebody walks by and they say, oh, I'll take the photo. And then it's, okay, well, let me give them the photo, but let me teach you how to do the camera the way I want you to do the camera. Make sure you put it up here and then, put this thing on it. Oh, right. You got to do this filter though. Okay. And then everybody gets in there and then it's, I want to look at it. Oh, let me see it though. Let me check. I don't like that one. I don't like that one. Yep. Oh, she don't like that one. Oh, you don't like that one? And then we got to do it again. And then the person we asked to take a picture, they're like, I'm tired, I'm leaving. They leave. Now we got to find somewhere to set the camera up, put it at the right height. Right. That's not high enough. Anybody got a book? We got to do all of this.
Right.
All of this. And it's like, this was all of that so we could get the first photo to say, like, we all arrived at the vacation or whatever. And I'm like, well, the vacation over.
To say we're having fun.
We're having fun. And for me, that's just not fun. I just wish that, because that's the thing, is that pictures used to be, for me, like, old school. I mean, remember when you went to like a barbecue or something, and they used to have those cameras that you do to wind up, and they would just be out on the table. And or like you when you were a kid, you went to the skate rink or something, and they would be out. That was like a gift, a favor,
yes.
that people would get those cameras, and you take photos. You didn't know what they looked like?
Right.
You did not know what any photo looked like until you went to the place and picked up your pictures from the CVS or the Walgreens or whatever. Until it was developed.
Yeah.
Look at you. She working on a
in the dark.
Right now. You working. She got notes now. I got it. Okay. Present, present, and developed. Okay. I miss that because I love the idea that a picture captures a moment.
Yes.
But the point is that it's a moment. We can't even have a moment because we're so busy trying to like curate what we want this moment to look like,
what we're trying to present.
Yes. And I look, and social media is what social media is. I have surrendered like everyone else. I do it all.
In this day and age, we need it.
We need to.
Yep.
But what I know I talk a lot about in my Instagram. I don't do it a lot. I tend to get on there and be like, okay, I'm working on something. Here's what I'm working on. And then I disappear for a while. Or if there's something fun going on in my life, I'll share. But a friend always says to me that my Instagram's brand is joy. And I like that's what people get out of it. But I early on, as I started doing this, yes, we have to have this and we have to promote our work and promote ourselves. But I was very intentional about, because I do know that other women, other actors, young girls, anybody really that's looking at me that I can't believe sometimes, like when it's always, weird to me, the idea of anybody looking up to me, because I'm out here really trying to get it together, y'all. But I do know that people do. And so what I was very intentional about is I never wanted to transmit the image of perfection or even the attempt at perfection. I'm so adamant about if there is one glam photo. Well, there's going to be 8 filterless photos. There's going to be me in no makeup. There's going to be me in my glasses. I took the people on the whole journey when I got my eye surgery and went from wearing glasses to actually having these eye contacts.
I give you a hard time about that. I had eye surgery.
You know what? I had a surgery and I wasn't feeling well. And I had someone who was helping me out at the house. And they were, look, man, I needed him to feel.
It was fine.
But she called me on the phone. And I was just talking to him. And I was like, oh, thank you so much. Thank you so much. I
then
really
he left.
And then he left. And I was like, anyway, so girl, they had... Then he came back in the room. And was like, brought me something, I don't know. And then I was like, thank you. Got helpless all over again. Then you asking people for help. You got to seem a little helpless.
Yes.
I always say this too. I be like, hey man, I'm not out here trying to be strong anymore, okay? I am tired of black women being strong. I tell everybody I'm weak. I am needy. I am a damsel in distress.
I'm not your superwoman. And I called Chaka Khan and I sent a message to Whitney wherever she lay and told her, get me out of the I'm Every Woman club.
I don't want to be.
I don't.
It's hard enough being this one woman. It's real hard. Yes. I'm good. I am out here living my damsel in distress life, honey. Everything. I'm like a white woman on Downton Abbey. Okay? I be like, I need to take a tonic and lie down. I'm done. Life got something hard for you all the time, man. I'm taking all the help I can get. I'm taking all the love, and I'm trying to curate and build all the joy. And so I really want to, in this social media world, I just feel like what's more important to me is that we curate real moments and that we really do have joy and that we live and enjoy, as opposed to always trying to curate the image of it. And I really, honestly, because I hate taking pictures. You know I do. I can't stand it. That's another thing I feel like I've learned as I've gotten older. I used to be super insecure about photos because I would pick them apart to death. And now what I learned is when I actually stop thinking about trying to pose myself, when I stop trying to get everything exactly right, what ends up happening is that I'm focused on just enjoying the moment, myself, the person I'm talking to, the things we're doing, and then I look like someone who's having fun. And then no matter when someone catches me, click, 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 even if I might be laughing and have a big old smile, because I have a big smile and I have these teeth and they a little bit overbitten, but it's fine. And if I might have a smile and my teeth is everything in it, so what? I feel like I look better. Yeah. I look better in all the photos where I'm not worried about, was I slouching? Did my side fat show? Yes, but who is able to, honey?
I'm going to sit like this the whole time.
I got so tired of not breathing. I got so tired of just not being able to really be conscious in any moment because I'm so aware of could a picture catch a bad whatever.
And the whole element of comparison.
Ooh.
Right?
Ooh, that enemy. Ooh, that beast, that monster.
And I'm on stage every week. And every morning going through my closet when I got to be on stage at the
that
church
large closet. That beautiful closet.
Clothes that have multiple sizes in them. And I'd be like, okay, now that's not in the closet.
Don't we keep clothes from size 4 through 14? I don't know what we're doing.
I got rid of the 4s. I quit being delusional. And I went 10 through 14.
Okay, that's fair, girl. Okay, goals.
I was like, listen, we are never going back to this. I was born a 6. So,
right.
So I'm never going to be a 4. But just how even when I look at video or I look at clips or whatever, I won't listen. I won't just y'all put it out there because the way I critique myself.
Yep.
I don't look like them.
Yeah.
And, company included, all my friends are gorgeous. All of them, have great bodies and great smiles and great personalities.
It's so funny because, every one of us is going, oh, God, I wish that
That's what I'm saying,
it's
right?
Insane.
It's for all of my insecurities and all of my I wish. I'm also around people who also have those same elements. And that's the whole point of sharing this podcast with people is, for all that you think you are or are not, you are perfect just as you are, right? With all of your imperfections, with all of your flaws. What's really important is the relationships and that you're the best version of yourself because nobody can be you and nobody can take your place. And for as much as this square of the earth belongs to you, nobody could ever stand in it and be you.
Yep.
So be your authentic self. And stop all that other hoopla.
Which is great. As an actor, I tell that advice to so many actors. all the time. And I believe it. Like, I actually believe it as an actor. I always say, when you go in an audition, no one, your most precious asset is your uniqueness.
Absolutely.
Because it does not, that is literally the one thing you are walking in the room with that no one else has.
Right.
And the more you lean into your preparation, your choices, your voice, your power, your look, whatever that is, lean into it. Because it is the only thing that sets you apart 100, like unequivocally from everyone else.
And if it's not what they're looking for,
so what?
It doesn't devalue who you are.
Because guess what? There's 1,000, literally, at least usually 1,000 people looking at something, trying for that thing. So 999 people did. So you think all 999 of the people weren't good?
Right.
That's not the point. Right. What is right for you is going to find you, and you're going to find it. We're going to come across each other like a cute little meet cute in a romance, in a rom-com, you know? That role is going to find you. You're going to find it, and y'all going to fall in love with each other. Right. And you're also going to have many loves in your life. That is what the journey of acting is. I tell people that all the time. Like, I'll constantly say that to a young actor, and I genuinely believe it. But it is so interesting how it's difficult to continue to tell myself that about just me, right? That I also, as a unique individual in the world, not as it relates to my job, not as it relates to this thing that I've been doing that I think might identify me. Mm-hmm. That's not my whole me.
Right.
But this whole me, I'm going to bed and waking up with myself every day.
Every day.
And I'm the only person. That's it.
And you take you wherever you go.
I take me everywhere I go. But this credo that I can walk into rooms and have, power and confidence to really do this thing that is never not been hard. It never stops being hard. But I can meet that challenge. Yeah. And I have built that confidence because I stand on that. I know that what I bring, no one else can.
Right.
So I just be really encouraging myself. I'm still in that process. I really am. But at least you know what I mean? Yes. I know it. I just got to know it. Yeah. And I'm working on it. And I'm better. I'm so much better.
That 8-inch drop from your head to your heart is a long cliff sometimes, right?
Yes.
And it's funny when you hear yourself saying it to other people. It's almost like there's a record button on the inside of you, right? That later on, don't you hear yourself going, this all the time. Mm-hmm. Like how can I embody it for myself? One last thing. When you think about being an outlier and yet evolving.
Malcolm Gladwell. Oh, I'm sorry, it wasn't that game. Sorry. That was word association. Go ahead.
That was good though. That was really good. Great book, by the way.
That's great.
You should pick up a copy. But when you think about the process of evolving and the perception that there's a place called in, right? That I may or may not be in any given moment in time. What would you say is the most defining piece of advice you would give to someone else who feels like, man, I don't know if I could ever be in?
I mean, the first thing I'm thinking is stop trying. Be where you are. That's my first thought is, but I don't want to dismiss that sometimes being in means like sort of like in the room where it happens. Or in means being included in the conversation. Or if you're like a woman, I think about this a lot as a woman in the industry, and the idea of like just the inequalities and imbalances, and where you're like, I want to have a seat at the table. I want to be included in decision making. I want to, you know what I mean? Yeah. So I don't want to dismiss that being in can mean being included and being valued. But I still think that the way you get in is that while you are out, while you are by yourself and with yourself, we have got to, honey, when I say the we, I mean the we. We have got to consistently, vigilantly work on knowing what we are going to bring to that room and bring to that table. How are we going to be fighting to be in somewhere and then we get there and don't have a clue who we are? I gotta know who I am.
Because if you don't know who you are, people will give you an identity.
Exactly.
And then you'll be playing Twister your whole life.
Your
trying to
whole
meet up
life.
to something that may not be really in the blueprint of God's purpose for your own life.
Absolutely.
You said in, and I intentionally baited you with that one because in is a nebulous, undefined, ever-moving, ever-shifting thing. What can we really define in? And the answer to that is no. In sits in the mind of every individual and has, to your earlier point of the boxes around it, that box is different and color-coded and ribboned individually by every single solitary person. Because even people and what we call A-list actors, B-list actors don't get parts and have times and troubles where you all feel like you're not in. And so in that whole concept of being in is elusive.
It's very elusive. You be into people's good graces and then you be out.
And even when you think you're in, there's sometimes still a longing for whatever the next.
And then you be in one thing and you want to be in another. You know, you in this group and then you're like, oh, but I'm not in that group.
Right.
I love all my dear friends who have children, but I don't have children. And I think all the time, like, there's so many people who want to be in, I want to be included in the group of mothers. But then there are people who go, I miss my single young life. You know, people want to be in relationships. Then they in them and want to get out. People want, you know, we want to be in everything. But that's the point, is actually being in a thing and letting that be the whole thing that makes you, it just limits you. It's actually, so that's what I mean when you say people who are on the out and want to be in, and how do we deal with that? I really think there's nothing better than being an outlier. There's nothing better than being on the outside. There's nothing, we all know too as adults, there's nothing better than being kind of a nerd in the school. There's nothing better than being the weird kid. Because the cool kids, that was their peak, it's done, it's over. We all know that. We grown now. We know that the cool kids, most of them, that was their time. The rest of us,
15 minutes of
that
fame.
was it. That was their 15 minutes. The rest of us had the rest of our lives now to keep growing and develop.
Yes.
And honestly, again, I think that's because of the box. Because when they were in and when they were cool, they're in these things. They're limited by that, right? They gotta be this, whatever that was in your school, you know? But it's like, when you're not limited. You could try things and do things, you know what I mean? That guy, that's why I always love those like ridiculous, like High School Musical, that jock, you know? What a cool idea that they started like giving to kids. The idea that the jock could also want to be in a musical or be at the play, you know? That the nerd person, you know, the person who was at the beakers and with the science, that person could also want to be a model. She could be, you know, the idea that we don't have to be one thing or two things or whatever, right? But that's sort of a new freedom we're giving to young people. It's always been throughout my upbringing and the generations before me, like, you know, you had to be this thing, and it was what, like you said, what someone else put upon you, really. Right. But you stay out of that and you say, no, I'm not gonna let you do that to me. I'm not gonna let you define me. Then now you have the freedom to define yourself. And when I get to do it, I get to do it as many times as I want. I get to keep adding.
Because I'm evolving.
And I hope I don't stop. Can't stop, won't stop.
Can't stop, won't stop.
Hey.
Thank you so much for sharing and for sharing with full transparency.
I try. You know, I always try. If you're gonna ask me a question, I'm gonna tell you the truth.
Listen, I'm just mad you didn't call me, but we'll talk about that after this podcast is over.
I'm in trouble.
But thank you so much. I'm so proud of you. I love you. I'm so excited whenever you're doing work. And you know, I'm always taking a picture of the TV and sending it to you.
Yes.
Like, look, you don't know you on TV.
I know. It'd be exciting though, like you said, because sometimes it's good to see yourself through other people's eyes, to remember to get excited about a thing, because, you know.
I'm absolutely proud of you.
I'm so proud of you as well.
And the work that you're doing. So thank you for being here today. Thank you to all you who are joining us today. Thank you for listening.
Thank you.
And
because I be running my mouth. I'm sorry.
It's all good.
And you know what? I just want to say too, I love you and I'm proud of you, and you are beautiful. And every week when you get up there, I know you don't be watching these sermons because you don't like to look back at them, but you're missing out because, like you said, sometimes you can hear things for yourself when you hear them again. And every week you bring such wisdom and comfort to so many people in so many ways. And so I really do encourage you to also take a look at yourself and see how beautiful you look and sound and feel to all of us.
Thank you. I received that. I do. Ladies and gentlemen, Cynthia McWilliams. Thank you for joining us.
Hi, guys.
Thank you. That was awesome.